Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we're back. The 1973 podcast, the only podcast still looking for an OnlyFans page, but we're getting there. Maybe they can send us someplace special. I don't know. So here we are again with the best tag team in the podcasting business. Ed, Tom, what's going on?
What's happening?
And we're joined by, once again, Chris from Bruins Nation. Representing. So before we get rolling, big week this week, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to kick it off. Ed, what do you got this week?
Well, I have something from our legal department of Bleecker and Quahog. I just want to read this so everybody can hear it. This is for everybody down in the back. The content with this podcast or Facebook page is by no means intended to injure anyone or anyone's reputation, assassinate anyone or anything's character. No statement or opinion made during the podcast are being made to cause damage to anyone's reputation. Okay? This podcast and Facebook page are made for fun and entertainment purposes only. Okay? We do realize that we are appealing to some, not all. And we do not try with the content to make it anything more than PG or PG-13. We're using the movie's rating systems there, okay?
Kids show. So, it's a kids show.
So, so if you do find something offensive that you do not agree with, we kindly ask that you turn us off and change the channel for that week and come back and see us again at a later date. The 1973 podcast.
Rock on.
Well said.
Ed, with that being said, from the legal department, would you like to read this week's email?
Sure. Well, this one is not going to be covered by Bleecker and Quahog. This is from Charlie from Natchez, Mississippi. Now we like to get mail. This one is it's pretty good, I guess. Let me say by saying your podcast is absolute dog shit. All right. You douchebags need better production. Typical of three guys living in I can't even finish reading it. In their mom's basement. You guys know shit about sports and probably never played dick. Have a nice day. Charlie from Natchez, Mississippi. Well, Charlie, let me just tell you. I have two words for you, and it's called suck it. And I don't live in my mom's basement because my mom died. So what do you say about that, fuckface? And then actually I have played, and then also we do we're on a limited budget. That's why our law firm of Bleecker and Quahog is a little bit they're not really a very well known law firm, to say the least. Gentlemen,
Tom, let's roll it to you. Let's let you take this one.
Well, I'm guessing Chris was a little butthurt when we did a few weeks ago when we did the analysis of who we'd rather have, Breeze or Brady. And I believe all three of us said Brady overall. So I'm guessing he's a little butthurt over that, being he's from Mississippi and close to Louisiana. But our production's not very good right now. But you know what, Chris? With great viewers like you, our production will grow because the cash flow will come in and we will get off the shoestring budget, and hopefully our production values will meet your needs.
So keep watching. Chris, thoughts on the email?
Oh, what a great email to start off the podcast. Really, come on. Charlie. I mean, Charles, probably mom used to call you Chucky when you were a little boy. Speaking of mom, I found something in my bag. I'll have to return this to her. We had a yes, this definitely belongs to her. We had a great production. Speaking of good productions, a little while ago last night, but anyway, how we finished the email was great. Have a nice day. Literally, guys, how can we not have a nice day knowing that there's some poor guy out in Mississippi who probably hasn't gotten laid in over a month? It has to be so brutal to a podcast with all we're trying to do is put some smiles on guys' faces, people's faces, period. You guys are great. no need for any of that, but it is what it is. There's all kinds out there. But thanks, Charlie, for the good email. It brings good laughter and excitement to our podcast, so we appreciate it.
So, I don't want to add anything to it because everything's pretty self-explanatory. We've been saying it since day one. It's all about just the fun. It's all about the chuckle. It's about the one-liners, the stuff that we grew up with, and that's how we're going to keep continuing. We're not going to ruffle anybody else's feathers. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. And just like on Tom's shirt, we're going Krusty the Clown. And,
I disappoint people.
Yeah, we'll disappoint you. I'm not afraid. Well, this isn't a safe zone. There could be some trigger warnings. So if you're sensitive, I mean, this might not be for you, but we appreciate you watching every week. And I know that I know for a fact that there's a ton of people that watch this podcast that will never admit it. And I know that you watch it. So, we track it. We know who watches what. So just keep watching and we'll keep on turning them out. So, with that being said, we'll segue away from the email. We'll talk a little NHL free agency this week. There was a lot of movement, some surprises, some kind of it was kind of a weak year for free agency. But we'll start with because we have two Bruins fans here. We're going to start with the Bees. And Chris, what's your thoughts on what the Bees have done so far in the offseason?
So we had so many holes, right? I believe there was 6-7 guys that we need, spots we need to fill. We don't know what's going on with Bergeron, Krejci. That's all up in the air. I don't know if they're waiting to see what the team's going to look like. Bergeron looks to be more likely to sign, but we had a lot of holes to fill. So the Bruins went out and I found that they did pretty good with this as far as veterans. I mean, either you're going to fill these spots with, guys from our AHL, from Providence, which are going to take up close to $1 million. I believe the entry contract's like $700,000 or $800,000, or you're going to get a veteran guy to fill that same spot that they did. I haven't worn this jersey in a long time, and I'm excited that I can put it back on. Okay.
Oh, I knew it was coming.
You could sign a guy like Milan Lucic,
I knew
right?
it
For
was
$1 million.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah,
right. When I asked you to be on this week, I said this freaking guy is going to bust out some dust collector that he's got in that closet, knock the moss off that thing. Oh
nailed
man,
it. You nailed it. Definitely. But yeah, no, seriously. Just having Lucic for $1 million, Van Riemsdyk for $1 million, I think it's going to do them good after the way we got knocked out last year, right? I think we need a big physical presence in front of the net. So I think we acquired a few guys that are going to be good. I'm really excited to see this Geeky guy. It's like 50-50 with him. It seems like some people are on, some people are not. I would honestly take anybody from that Seattle Kraken team after last year. I feel like if you can preach to those guys that we can do this, they marched forward and they did above and beyond what a lot of people thought they were going to do, So I'm happy with Geeky coming over. I think he's the guy that's, going to fall in nicely with us, and you give him a little push and he's going to have time with better players on his line to play. And I think he's going to succeed, So I feel like I'm not going to say nothing bad about the Bruins. I love my Bruins, no matter what. Well,
somebody's got to. It's almost like Charlie from Mississippi. Somebody's got to love him. Tom, we're going to kick it to you for some Bruins backlash. What do you got?
I told you last week, I'm still picking them to make the playoffs next year. They're not going to be the wagon they were this year, but I still think they're going to be good. And from what I'm hearing, they're still talking trades. I don't know if they're going to get anything back, but I heard a rumor last night about they're possibly talking with the Islanders about Jake DeBrusk. So I guess they're trying for I guess the Islanders want DeBrincat, but I guess he's pretty close to going to Detroit. They're just trying to work out an extension with him. So I guess the Islanders, their fallback plan is possibly DeBrusk. So I don't know what the Bruins would be looking for in return, but they're still going to tinker with the lineup. I'm still going to give them time. I have no no qualms with what he's doing so far. Right, and I don't like Donnie Sweeney, but he's handcuffed this year with how much money he had. So I'm going to give him this year, and hopefully, at the very least, they're going to have about $35 million this coming season, next season, to spend. I don't know what's out there for free agency then, but
now do you think with the Bruins that it's more of they're trying to kind of cut costs, or do you think they're trying to make the team better, or do you think it's a combination of how they're up against the wall with what they gave up to make that playoff push? Do you think that there's multiple factors involved? Do you think they're trying to save face for how they got bounced, or what?
Yeah, I think they went all in this past year, and I think now they're kind of have to pay the piper on it, and they're going to have to take a beating, and especially in the media, which I don't, in the fandom really more than anything. But from what I'm hearing, Bertuzzi signed a 1-year deal with Toronto, and Toronto was the only team. His agent said Toronto was the only team that he would accept a 1-year deal with. So he never gave the Bruins a chance to offer him a 1-year deal.
Now, speaking of Toronto, I thought they did fantastic with their signings. So they did fantastic. Ryan Reeves, Bertuzzi, and Max Domi. I mean, that is some heavy additions to that lineup. And they were able to keep, their current lineup. So I don't know where they're going to move some money around or how they're going to do it when those guys want to get paid. But, man, if they don't have a Penguins type salary cap, I don't know who does.
I read another rumor I read today was that they were trying to deal Brody and Nylander so that they can free up cash, and they're going to try to get Carlson because there's a holdup with the deal he had, or not he had, but with the deal San Jose and Pittsburgh had worked out. I guess Carlson wants a longer extension, and they don't want to give it to him.
Yeah, it's crazy how that things just work out so well for some teams, and other teams they just can't catch a break with when it comes to drawing talent to want to play there if you don't pay them tons of money. And I also like that Tom's drinking while the podcast is going on. That's fantastic.
Have to stay hydrated.
Yes.
It's hot in the basement.
Yeah, you got to put on the dehumidifier while you're down there too. Ed, any thoughts on any of the free agents that were signed so far?
Well, I was going to talk about free agents that haven't signed yet. I mean, how about Patrick Kane not being signed yet? He's still out there, right?
Yep.
Matthew Dumba from Minnesota Wild, he's still out there right now, right?
Awesome.
Let's see. Paul Stastny from the Canes, he's still out there. And then Zach Parise still out there for the Islanders.
Tarasenko also.
Yeah, Tarasenko's out there too. But do you think a lot of it has to do with their high demand for what they want for a salary versus what you're actually getting from them?
I would think so. I think that's part of it. I mean, I think that, really what it comes down to, some of these guys are, a little bit closer to the twilight of their career. They're starting to push that 8-10 years of their career. How much do they have left in the tank? We're not talking about, when we're talking about hockey, football, baseball, even basketball players. I mean, these guys are incredible athletes, and, there's an incredible wear and tear on their bodies. So, these GMs, they have to be somewhat fiscally responsible, so they're not putting their team in a financial burden, 2-3 years into the contract where it's guaranteed money. So, I agree with you. I just, how much do these guys have left in the tank? Look at Patrice Bergeron. He's kind of on the fence, right? Well, there's no question the guy has tremendous amount of heart. He plays hurt. He's a great leader, but the dude's taken some punishment over the years, and how much more punishment can he take? I guess that's my question. So
with talking about players with heart, I think Jonathan Taves is still out there too, right? He hasn't signed with anybody. So
yes.
Do the Leafs have room for 6 or 7 more players? Is Taves going to go there? Is Kane going to go there? Is Tarasenko going to go there? Do they have room in the cap for that all of a sudden? Is that a possibility? Chris, what do you think?
Listen, the Leafs, they're their team, I wish my fantasy team looked as good as their team, their starting lineup, right? So they keep finding ways to get these guys on. You know what I mean? So, I mean, a lot of people like to play for Toronto. A lot of people from Toronto or Canadian, they just, it's a good hockey club, right? It's got a lot of history. So, of course, any one of these players could go there. Do they have the room to sign them? They'll make the room. They'll find the room. These teams seem to figure it out some one way or another.
Yeah, it seems like the kids that grow up in Canada and that Ontario area that grew up Leafs fans, they want to be the guy that's on the team when they finally win again. It seems like that type of they're going for nostalgia purposes or whatever, but they do have quite a good team to watch, at least on TV, to see how that pans out. So with that being said, talking about overall, one of the subjects we wanted to talk about was the All-Star game. Now, Major League Baseball has their All-Star game this weekend, right, Tom?
This coming week, yeah.
And is it time to cut bait with the way the All-Star games are done? Or should it be tweaked? Should it be refined? Thoughts on the All-Star games in general? And the one I think is the worst is the Pro Bowl. So, I mean, if you guys could interject what you think about the current states of the All-Star games. I think we touched on it one time earlier in one of the podcasts, but we'll bring it up to date because of the baseball. Go ahead, Tom. Take it away.
Well, to me, I think they're all useless. I mean, most of the players don't want to go anyway. They'd rather have the 3 days off, 4 days off to rest and recuperate for the rest of the season. And the ratings, if you look at the ratings for all four of them, they've been terrible. They've all been declining since about 2002. That's as far back as I went, was 2002, and the ratings have tanked all 4 years. And actually, this year's NBA All-Star game was the lowest ranked game, I believe, that they've had. So it's just ridiculous. And they've tried tinkering. I mean, they've literally made the NFL game a flag football game. I mean, who wants to watch a flag football game? I'm sorry, but and the people that are saying it's for the fans, look at the ratings. The fans aren't watching, so it's not for the fans. It's just another money ploy by the ownership and the leagues to try to get fans to go to these games. And it's just, to me, they've all used their usefulness up. I just think give the players their 3 days off, 4 days off, and recuperate. And I think it'll actually help the product on the fields and the ice and the courts when they come back.
Thoughts, Ed, Chris?
Yeah, I'll take it from here. I mean, I'm not going to disagree too much with Tom with what he said, but I mean, so Major League Baseball, this is from 1967. Okay, they had a 50% share of the TV ratings that day of the All-Star game, right? They had a 9% share in last year, in 2022. I mean, that's a huge drop. The NFL, there was only 6.2 million viewers this year. NHL did have a 31% increase this year in viewership. I think that probably had a lot to do with the skills competition and that type of thing. And to echo Tom's point, 2023 for the NBA, it was a new record low. So the one stat that really does stick out to me, and when I was researching a little bit of it, is if you notice, especially if you go back and you can find it really easy, on the interwebs, like pretty much right when everybody started getting computers in their house, which would be like right around 1998, 1999, 2000-ish, all these ratings started to double-digit decline. And so I think it's the internet has really kind of done it. And, the thing about it is that I agree with Tom. I mean, the Pro Bowl for the NFL is just absolutely horrendous. I do like the skills competition with the NHL. I do like the skills competition. Not a huge basketball fan, but I mean, 3-point contests and slam dunk contests, it is kind of exciting. I mean, to see what these guys can truly do. And, that's my take on it. And, baseball is baseball. I mean, it's a long season. There's 162 games. That doesn't even include the playoffs. So it's a long season. I really don't think that 3 or 4 days rest in between for these guys really means a whole hell of a lot to them, to be quite honest with you. Other than get out of Dodge, go home, and not have to listen to a coach and just, relax. So that's my take.
Chris?
Yeah, so Ed touched on my point, right? Let me bring you back with a little nostalgia. Who didn't like watching the home run derby 10, 15 years ago? who didn't like watching the target contests for the NHL, the speed skating around the rink, to see who was fastest. We all watched that. We loved the home run derby. My goodness, I would literally, I remember being at a wedding one time and I had my headphones on listening to the home run derby because that's how much of importance it was 10, 15 years ago. Now, who has cable anymore? Everybody's cutting cable, right? We're getting Disney, Paramount, this, Disney Plus, that. Like, nobody has time to sit around the TV and watch this live stuff, right? And then if you record it on DVR, great. You watch it the next day, you've already heard the results, whether it was sports talk radio or, ESPN. It's so much less interesting. You're not going to watch it after, the next day on DVR. Like, you have to watch that stuff live. That's what makes it exciting. And that's why it's just completely dissipated. It's gone. Like you said, as far as the point of viewership just being down, it's like, if we're not recording something on DVR or watching something that is being streamed, it's lackluster nowadays. You know what I mean? Now we're at the point where at TikTok and watching reels. If it doesn't interest you in 3 seconds, you're flipping to the next video. So times have changed. Unfortunately, it didn't do any good for any of this all-star stuff, no matter what sport it is. But it is the case. This is the times we're in, man.
Yeah. Touching on the All-Star game, I'm all over the map with it. I think that there's guys that are actual All-Stars every year that don't deserve actually to be on the All-Star team. I wouldn't mind seeing, just to try it out, if they went back to the format of it's the Stanley Cup champion from the year before versus the NHL All-Star team on a game. That way you have less All-Stars and you get to see if that team like Vegas would play like 20 of the best NHL All-Stars. If you are not represented by a team, too bad. I don't want to see that, every team has to send somebody because there's only room for 20. So it would be, the best of the best versus last year's. It'll be an exhibition game. It won't count. And it can be light or whatever and have fun. And you still have the regular weekend, but that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see that and we'll take the Pro Bowl out of it, but at least the other three. Imagine last year's, NHL champion or NBA champion versus, the league all-stars for that year. That'd be a fun watch. I think you would draw some viewers for that. That might work because they used to do that in the old NHL back in the day before they were televised. But I think that could work. I think that could really, really work if given the right thought. And you keep adding teams. So these all-star teams will be like 50, 60 guys on a team. So
the one thing I can't stand is in Major League Baseball, they have to have one player from every team. That is so stupid. I mean, like this year, you have the Oakland A's have got like 22 wins on the year. And you're saying they have they have no one on the team that deserves to be on the All-Star game. And they have to take one guy. And so it's taken a spot from somebody like a young guy like Wander Franco, who made the team because somebody backed out, but he originally didn't make the team. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah, if a team like the Flyers have 8 guys that are worth going and the Bruins don't have any, that you got to send the Flyer guys. That's just how it works.
Are you having a flashback?
Like that's going to happen.
Again?
That's America's team. It's like stomping on the flag. Jeez.
Well, I mean, to echo Chris's point about the home run derby and that type of thing. I mean, I remember being down on Lansdowne Street and watching Mark McGuire and those guys launch some serious shots over Lansdowne Street at Fenway,
Yeah, well, you were doing some serious shots.
No. It's actually at work that time. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, likely excuse that.
Hey, that was just the business I was in, man.
Danger is your business.
Yeah, it's not my middle name anymore.
Yeah, so any more thoughts with the All-Star game or All-Star game format going forward, or you want to move on?
I'm done. I got nothing.
Yeah, nothing really. I love your idea though. I mean, shit, if we could see, a Stanley Cup team play, that would be actually pretty interesting. That's a great new idea.
It'd be cool.
You got to start sending in your letters to the NHL for that though.
Yeah, I've been doing it since I was a kid, and they haven't answered not once. I think we've got more response from Charlie than we have from the NHL, but we are all open for a sponsorship. So if you want to start throwing some NHL swag our way, I'll wear whatever except I'll give all my Bruin stuff to Chris and Tom. So Ed needs a couple of jerseys too.
I do. I wear anything.
Yeah. With that being said, wrestling's starting to heat up for the summer. A lot of stuff. There was no Dark Side of the Ring this week. I think they took a pause. I think the next one is actually on the 11th. It's Adrian Adonis. I'm curious to see that one because I heard he was a real shitbag. So yeah, I was watching a podcast and they were talking about how SmackDown is the highest rated wrestling show. I was blown away by that. It's got more viewership than Raw now, and they want to make it 3 hours, but I'm not a fan of these wrestling shows being 3 hours. I don't care what you got on the roster. I'm not a fan of 3 hour wrestling. What do you guys think?
Ed?
I'm not a huge fan of it, man. I think that you can do a lot in 2 hours, and I think that just watching. What was the show last night that was on
Collision.
AEW?
Collision.
Like Collision. I mean, I haven't really watched any WWE in quite some time, to be honest with you. But I mean, I think that like watching the stuff from Collision last night, and then I think that there's so much watered down talent. I think that if they tightened it up, I think that they could make better storylines. I think that the stories could be better. That's just my take on it, man.
Yeah,
I don't.
What's a storyline anymore when you want to know the results before it happens? It's like it's like paying to see a movie that you already know the ending to. I don't get that. I mean, it just blows my mind. It's like going through a book and just reading the last 2 pages. It makes no sense to me. This modern streaming, I got to know everything internet mark type stuff. I mean, it's nice to know when guys get released or guys' contracts are coming up and they want to jump ship. Like any other pro sport, it's cool to hear that, but I don't want to know who's going to win, who's going to lose before it happens. That's why DraftKings is around. That you can bet on wrestling. That's crazy. Let me get a quick thought on what's your thoughts on really honestly betting on pro wrestling.
You're stupid.
Chris, what do you think? DraftKings pro wrestling?
I mean, I'm a loss for words for that. Like, how do you bet on something that
is predetermined?
I mean, I guess it's pre-planned now. They're saying football, baseball, hockey, everything's pre-planned nowadays. So maybe you may be onto something.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch AEW, they're sponsored by DraftKings, so you can actually bet on the matches while you're watching it. So is there like an NDA, like a non-disclosure thing that when they know who's going to win, nobody can't say anything unless, that way it doesn't get out. So guys can't bet on themselves and for wins and losses. That's crazy, but it's an actual thing.
Just look at the problems you're having in the NFL right now. They've suspended probably 8 guys in the last 3 weeks for gambling. So they're trying to clamp down a little bit there, but I mean, if you're betting on wrestling, you've got a problem.
especially if you're betting on the girls' matches.
They're gonna go from shaving. They're gonna go from shaving points to shaving what? Stone Cold Stunners and 3 counts. Like, come on, man.
I how at the Super Bowl you can bet on the coin toss. Mm-hmm. At the big WWE pay-per-views and the AEW pay-per-views, you can bet on who comes out first and who comes out second. For introductions. So I mean, it's all stuff that you don't know at home, but you figure, okay, this guy's the champion, he's coming out second, and then all of a sudden he comes out first, and it's like, you motherfucker, I lost $40. I knew he was coming out second, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, I was told that they literally do pitch for pitch in baseball. So these guys at my work are all about it, and they'll do per pitch. You got to be quick on it. You got to have good service going. And you if the next pitch you say is a strike, you win money. If not, it's crazy. It's wild. You literally bet on anything.
And they'll give you $1,000 for signing up. So we're looking for DraftKings as a sponsor. You can bet on who's going to be. You can bet on who's going to be the next guest. You can bet on which triangle somebody's going to be in. You can
Who the Portuguese Phantom is.
you can bet on who the Phantom is. And speaking of that, you got to buy the shirt.
Who's on first?
You can bet on that too.
Who's on first?
Yep.
Man.
So we're winding down.
DraftKings, sign us. We'll take your money.
Yeah, we will. We'll do whatever.
Production will definitely come up if you give us some money, DraftKings.
Oh yeah, big time. We'll give you football cards. We'll do whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
Tom will make up some football cards.
If you need me to.
Oh yes.
So we're gonna wind down and we're gonna do our usual album pick of the week. So Tom, what do you got for picks of the week?
I'll do the fantasy pick of the week, which I'm not really doing one this week because there's only 4 games. There's the All-Star break, so it's not worth it. But this past week,
you still need to plug your shirt. I mean, Tom Shitty picks. I mean, come on, dude. Plug the shirt, bro.
Well, the picks weren't shitty this week, brother. I picked Logan Webb for my pitcher of the week, and he just pitched a complete game just today. And his other start, so between the 2 starts, he got 38 points. So I nailed it on him. My batter of the week, he was average. He got 20 points. So I wasn't that bad this week. So this week it's Tom's mediocre picks.
So because you got 38 points this week out of fantasy, does that mean this week's pick is 38 special?
Yes. No. My record of the week, I'm going old school. See, we're the 1973 podcast. I'm going a little bit older than 73, but I'm going to go with the Cars and their greatest hits album. It was released in 1985, and got to go with a Boston band. It went platinum 6 times. It's a 13-song album. My favorite songs on it were Shake It Up, Good Times Roll, You Might Think, and Just What I Needed. Good tunes.
Yeah, You Might Think is on that, right?
Yep.
The Cars, I think they just got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What can you say? I saw them once open, and they were very, very, very awful to watch live. There was no stage presence, no show. It was very synthesizer and all that stuff. But as far as catalog of hits, I mean, any band that's got songs in heavy rotation on a rock station like them or Fleetwood Mac, or the list goes on and on of bands that just every hour on the hour you can hear a Cars song on a classic rock station. Ed, thoughts on the Cars?
Yeah, no, I always enjoyed them. I'm not the one. I believe that there was that was in one of Adam Sandler's movies. I think that was in one of the scenes. I like Drive. Good Times Roll, Shake It Up. Since You've Been Gone. All those songs. Those are songs that they were certainly in normal rotation on every radio station that we grew up listening to. Except for a certain 107.1.
Yeah. Chris, thoughts on the Cars? You, even though you're a younger dude, any?
He wasn't even born yet.
Man, listen, 1987 was far away from when the Cars came out. What I will tell you about the Cars, okay? You guys think I don't have this knowledge, but I do as a youngster. I drive a car and it plays music out of it. So we're good.
I got you.
We're good with the Cars. We love the Cars, man.
From point A to point B, the A to the Z. So before we wind this down, we probably got about 3 minutes. I just want to do a quick shout out. I want to say thanks to Phil Masolino. He's been helping out with a little bit of the production this week. We're going to have a new intro to the podcast, and I can't say thank you enough, Phil. I went back and forth with you a couple times this week, so it duly noted. Very, very thankful. Thank you for that. Guys, any shout outs before we take off?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, Ed.
No, go ahead, Tom. You first.
No, I want to actually thank all the haters, because as much as you hate, you're still watching. So you're helping us with the views, and that's what we need right now. So keep on hating as long as you're watching. Just click the like button, and if you want, go to the store and buy a shirt.
Buy a shirt. Come on. Don't be cheap. Buy a shirt. Come on. Ed, buy a shirt.
Sure. So my take on this, well, first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you to Charlie for sending it in from Natchez, Mississippi. You definitely need to get a dictionary because you spelled douchebag wrong, just for an FYI.
Gosh.
Also, another
That's
thing
French.
is that, oh yeah, douche. Also, we are not 13 years old. That's not who runs the page, just for an FYI. We're all close to 50 or 50. But
Tom's
like I
miming.
said, if you don't like it, change the Le channel. I'm out.
Chris, thoughts before we go? I want to thank you for coming on again, bud.
Nah, no problem. I like to do the remote thing. If you don't mind, I'll keep that going. You never know where I'm going to show up. I might show up at a football stadium, a hockey rink. This is where I like to be. My quick shout out is going to be to my wife and kid, man. They watch every episode. They love it. I'm here with my little guy right now. We're doing the little hockey thing at the hockey rink. All right.
Yeah. Hey,
Make sure to like and subscribe.
there you go.
I
There
like
you
it.
go.
So
There
that's
you
my
go.
shout out to my beautiful family that follows and watches. And we got to get some shirts. He's getting a shirt real soon. I like the new shirt that you just came out with the Triple Threat Sports there. So we're about to order him an extra small real soon. He needs
Yeah.
one.
They have kids stuff on there too. So
Portuguese Phantom.
yeah, Portuguese Phantom. Buy the shirt and we're out. Later, guys.
Thanks,
Later.
Chris.
Later, Chris.